WesWes show.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the 135 Footy podcast. Welcoming back my also Stacey from the Counter Rock. How's it going, bro?
Yeah, man, good. Thanks for having me on, brother. Warriors doing well, so any Warriors supporters jumping on these days. So,
Exactly.
yeah, thanks, Us.
Thanks for jumping on, man. Last minute call up. Our usual Simon and Marnie's on the late shifts this week, so it's good. Think we would have been overrun with a lot of Broncos talk there, so we'll cut that out.
Yeah.
And we'll go straight to been a couple of weeks. Yeah, I think that we spoke last prior to Origin. And then it was a disappointing result for me, so I think I got the same sickness you guys got in game 1 and 2, and I couldn't record. So it's been a while since that. We missed the games wrapping before that Origin. Yeah, but man, ah, congrats on a game 3, man. It was a well deserved win.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I guess it's been over a week since that win. Cody, I think raps go to him just opening up that attack. Um, Probably Freddie too. Kind of what he spoke about. You know, they couldn't get the ball moving to attack, so maybe a bit of Freddie magic there at the end of his tenure.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. Now, I think you're right. Cody Walker, he was outstanding. He was the
Mm.
difference. So, I think we talked about this in the previous games. The Blues got enough ball in both game 1 and game 2,
Yeah,
and they had enough field position, enough opportunities, but they couldn't convert that into points. Whereas you get someone like Cody Walker, and he's probably, I've heard a lot of experts say, he's arguably the best ball player, particularly on the left.
mm.
And his creativity on the left really tied in well with someone like Bradman Best, who's got that strong hole running. He gave Adokar the space he needs to do what he does, and he unlocked Tedesco as well. So that was a crucial cog that we
Yeah,
needed. So I don't know if it was Freddie. I thought that change from Cam
Cameron
Murray to
Murray,
start over Isaiah
Isaiah.
Yo
Yeah,
was crucial as well, and it was like a switch from the Penrith system to more towards the
yeah,
South system.
yeah.
So
And many
um,
called that early on, so that was yeah, interesting how it played out. That it really did. I mean, yeah, just seeing Damien Cook jump out and real confident out of dummy half, like yeah, hadn't seen that all series.
yeah, I was happy with overall with how they played, but you're also a little bit gutted because you feel like
Yeah.
the series is gone and now you play good. Why didn't you do
Yeah,
that
yeah,
at the
and that's
start?
the
So
most disappoint. Like it doesn't play with the mindset because you kind of think as a supporter, it's like yeah, real frustrating to know like that's the team, and then it kind of plays on you like, is that really the Queensland team bringing it? Because
mm,
I look, it's very similar to game 1. You know, like you guys had that. We had a really good starting period in game 1, same as game 3, and then you guys kind of settled down, and then we're just dominant, or not dominant, but you just held the game, you had control. A lot more dominance, I guess, in game 3, kind of really stamped
yeah,
it, and so it wasn't so back and forth. But then just at that last kind of 60 minutes, kind of switched. There was a few little mistakes. That's usually where I thought Queensland would have come over the top, what they did in game 1.
mm,
So yeah, I think it was just that. I don't know if the confidence of just the scoreline maybe as well, just lifting the guys to finish that game out.
yeah. I think you talk a lot about pressure. So they always talk about that how game 2 is normally it's hard, well, it's sort of an anomaly that Queensland won 2 in a row. It's
Mm,
normally the team that loses the first game is fighting tooth and nail to win that second game. And I felt that pressure of for New South Wales side not to get swept was really helped them to
mm,
dig a bit more deeper. Whereas Queensland, they've won the series. Obviously, you want to get a clean sweep, but if you're only sort of 1 or 2% off, that can be the difference. And I felt that they were. It's not that they had things to play for, everything to play for. It was just
yeah,
sort of, oh, it'd be nice to get a sweep. Whereas New South Wales did, they don't want to get swept and they want to put some pride back in the jersey. The coaches' jobs on the line. People are playing for the rest of their Origin careers. If they got swept, someone like Tedesco, he could be done
yeah,
from that. So
yeah.
that pressure really helped them to dig a bit more deeper. And I felt that desperation help to get them over the line more than anything as well.
Yeah, and I think that I guess that was one thing I noticed. As much as kind of you can start talking about like, oh, they're not playing hard enough for the jersey. I think that game just showed, like it's just kind of it's good to just get rid of that noise, like just seeing the passion those guys played with, just stepping up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it was a good end to the series. I was hoping we'd get the clean sweep, but yeah,
Mm,
I think I talked myself out of the Queensland win as well after talking up Cody before from the last episode.
yeah,
But it was good to see him show up as well. Like I think that was the thing, seeing Cody more mature. Like we were saying, he's not playing into those mind games with people trying, just get under his skin.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah, and I think he's just really enjoying his footy. Like just seeing him, yeah, right now it was good. Um, where to next year though?
yeah. That's the thing. I've said previously that I wanted Freddie sacked, want him ousted, but getting rid of him is probably the easy part. Getting someone else to come in and do the
Mm,
job is probably the hard part. So I don't know. I think McInnes might want to do the job. I wouldn't mind him. It's good to have someone with NRL knowledge in there. So I saw there was some little footage of Ivan Cleary up in the box. So I think he was helping out Freddie as well, and sort of, he's someone who has a good understanding of the modern game and the modern trends. So I
mm,
think if that helps game plan wise, because that's one of the criticisms of Freddie is he doesn't have a clear game plan, and even
yeah,
from game to game, like in game one, he said he only picked Uppy. He didn't pick Damien Cook. And his
yeah, yeah.
logic was, oh, we're not a two hooker team. We're only going to
That's
play
right.
with one hooker. And then game two, that strategy's out the window,
Yeah,
and he's got Cook and that North Queensland guy. So it's like, oh, we are actually a two hooker team now. And so like, oh, we want to carry this bench utility guy, and now we're not carrying this guy. We're not carrying someone like Nico Hines.
mm,
And oh yeah, we're going to have. They said, oh, Campbell Gillard, he's not really Origin type of forward. He's too big and sort of cumbersome, and now he's back. So it's real muddled thinking from Freddie. So to have someone who has a good understanding of the modern game and the
mm,
modern trends like Ivan Cleary, I think can give them that real strategy in terms of this is how we should play the game, and we'll just stick to this game plan, and we'll pick players who fit in with that. I don't know if it should be Cleary just because he's got that Penrith influence, and I wonder if it'd say, yeah, just pick 13 guys from from
yeah.
my
Just
team
put
if you
all
want
the
to
voice in.
win. No, but
Yeah,
it was good to
yeah.
see an
I think
NRL
that
guy in there.
yeah, yeah, and it's yeah. I think that is the biggest point is you can't just get rid of Freddie and then yeah, who comes in? You have to at least have someone in your mind who's actually going to bring something better. You can't
Mm.
just kind of leave it out there and then like, oh, now we got no coach. So um, yeah, McInnes, I guess he talks a lot. Um, has he coached though?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he has a, but it's sort of like Billy Slater who had no coaching experiences. But what he did do is he sort of coaches how he plays. He's very meticulous and
Yeah, yeah.
very prepared and all the rest of it. And then he gets other guys in to help out. So he got Josh Hannay in, who's been involved with a lot of coaching and understands modern systems. And
Mm,
he was the mastermind behind the defensive shutting down Isaiah Yeo and understanding the Penrith system. So, yeah, I thought that's what Billy Slater did good. He got other guys around him
mm,
who are passionate about Queensland, but also helped to fill any gaps that he has in his own personal coaching. Whereas Freddie felt like he just got get a whole lot of New South Wales legends, but none of them had great coaching experience. So it was
yeah,
Andrew
yeah.
Johns and Brandy Alexander and all these guys. And I thought that getting Ivan Cleary in could be a way forward for him if he can get someone, a good NRL coach, to go through the X's and O's, and
But
then he can
then,
bring
yeah, I
passion and stuff
guess
there.
would you? And then what? So he walks away from Panthers, or you go back to having an NRL coach as an Origin coach as well?
Well, I'd have someone in the team, like maybe as an assistant. I know Ricky Stewart's name's been thrown out there, and I wasn't a
Yeah,
fan of him being the head coach of both, just because I think that's too much.
yeah,
But if he was to be sort of I don't know, like a mastermind with the tactics, I'd be okay with that. He's someone who gets Origin, but he also gets the modern game,
mm,
and he can help design game plans and that sort of stuff. So I think, yeah, an X's and O's guys would be really good. So I
Yeah,
actually think that Freddie might get a reprieve, Like especially that win, it was quite a good win. Now, if that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure. But I remember in our group chat, Simon mentioned,
mm,
oh, that's the good thing from Queensland side is they're probably going to
yeah,
keep Freddie on again. But yeah, it'll be
yeah.
interesting.
I guess that is the frustration because everyone knows like it's just I mean, if he's got his best team running, then that's all his job is just to kind of just keep the morale up, keep them you
Mm,
know loving the jersey. But yeah, I think the injuries to the New South Wales team this series is probably something that he really struggled with. Like just
yep.
those positional plays, just form of his players. Like if he's got his guns running and fit for Origin, then his job becomes a lot easier because New South has a lot of talent, and I think it was just thinking on the fly for him was real hard, and yeah, I guess in game three, able to pull a team together that worked well.
Mm.
Um, man, that Bradman Best, yeah, I guess Cody played so well. Does anyone fit into that role
Well,
and
I
would have
think
been fine?
Cody, as long as he doesn't have a disaster next year, he's got to stay. Bradman Best is an interesting one because I thought that he did his job running into the right hole so
Yeah,
Cody
yeah,
could put him through. But I'm guessing Latrell will be fit, and he's probably the first choice
yeah,
left center. So I'm not sure if Bradman can move to the right or not. But yeah, that could be a bit interesting how that
yeah,
all
yeah.
works up. And also Tommy Turbo, he wasn't fit, so I don't know if how where it all fits in. But like you say, New South Wales have got too many guys, so
Mm.
a lot of it's going to have to do to the NRL form and all the rest of it. But
Well,
I'll
yeah.
be happy with them to build off game three
Mm.
and sort of keep a lot of those guys together, and then just sort of chop and change a little bits here and there, sort of just make peripheral changes, but build on that game three squad would be my hope, or form pending, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that Ford pack too, like we spoke about, like just seemed a lot more solid, like a bit more balanced as well. With like the work they did without Payne Haas.
Yeah,
Even Lindsay Collins, like a monster in the first two games. Like a lot of hit ups, but yeah, he wasn't getting through that line on
yeah,
that third game.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. I thought Daniel Saifiti, he did. Was it Jacob Saifiti, one of those
Mm.
Saifiti brothers that was on there? He made a big difference when he came in off the bench. So that was one thing I was worried about. I thought Utui Kamanu was a bit hard done by to just get 10 minutes and then saying, "Oh no, you can have a
Yeah,
rest. You
yeah.
might be tired." But Jake, I think it was Jacob Saifiti. To his credit, he came on and he played good with the minutes that he got. So
Mm.
yeah,
With the injuries, Cameron Smith weighed in on that, talking about a change. He'd support a change in the rep rounds, moving Origin, into this period, but also international games, and having a break in the NRL season, just to give the players that reprieve.
mm.
Your thoughts around that?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Because there's not really a perfect answer. There's always going to be
Mm.
something that goes wrong. So, you raise the injuries, but we just talked about someone like, say, Bradman Best, for instance. He comes in, he plays really good, his confidence is sky high, performing at the highest level, and then he goes back and he's to the Newcastle Knights, and he's a completely different player. So,
Yeah,
you can't really, you got to allow those types of things to happen. It'll
yeah,
be,
yeah,
it's a tough one. I wouldn't mind having a rip round, just one rip round as well might be good to mix it up a bit and give some of the top teams a bit of a rest.
mm.
Yeah, but to be honest, I'm sort of happy if they keep it the way it is. The Origin works on Wednesdays for whatever reason. They
Yeah,
just get the ratings that they get.
mm.
Um, it is tough on the players, especially if you're backing up. And you look at a side like Man who've lost Turbo, their best player for the season. But
Yeah,
yeah, there's no real answer that will keep everyone happy. So at the end of the day, it boils down to the money. And
yeah,
Origin makes the most money on Wednesdays, so that's going to decide it. They'll probably
yeah,
stick with it on Wednesdays. Although I think there was that one year that they did that rip round, and I think
yeah.
they
And the
played
Sunday
Origin on it.
games. Was it last
Yeah,
21 or 22?
yeah, and I thought that was quite good. So I wouldn't mind maybe two Wednesday games and one Rip Brown Sunday type
Mm.
game. Because I know
Yeah,
they're talking
yeah.
about bringing it to New Zealand as well. So if they've had it on the Sunday, that could fit in well with New Zealand scheduling as
Wasn't there
well. At
talk of
least.
Vegas next year? Is that a real thing or no? For Origin 1?
Oh, true. I'm not sure. They're trying to find ways of growing the game and making more money. And I know they've tried these forays into the US before, thinking they
Mm.
could capitalize on that market, but it really hasn't got anywhere. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard. Like, I guess it needs to. Yeah, when I saw that, I think the attraction of the game, like, it's a hard game. You need to kind of really grow the culture of it. Kind of get people. Especially Americans. If you've got local kind of enough local clubs to really love it,
Yeah.
they're very tribal, and then once they love it, then it can grow like that organically. But you're trying to bring a game at that the top level and entertain them with it, and then kind of as professionals, people be looking at their kids who are athletes and going, oh, when they see how much toll
Mm,
it takes on those players compared to American, salaries for other sports, it's a real hard sell to kind of
that's
get
right.
your kid to want to love this game with all those possible injuries.
Mm,
And comparatively, nothing compared to what they go through. So yeah, hard ask.
yeah.
Cool, man. Hey, I want to quickly anything else you wanted to kind of bring up on that origin?
Yeah, not really. I thought it was disappointing that it was over after two games. The
Mm,
third game's always a bit of a dud fest when it's a dead rubber. So I know that's a lot of that's on New South Wales to perform better in those two games. But yeah, that was sort of my big gripe. I thought I watched it, but
mm.
I didn't have that same hype if it was a decider. And yeah, I think just congratulations to Queensland. I know Cotter he was player of the series and
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
bloody awesome. So I
Mm,
thought he deserved it. But Collins, who you mentioned before, he was bloody good,
yeah.
and the Hammer as well. So
Yeah, I
any
thought
one of those three
Collins
could
was
have,
real close. I thought it might have
yeah.
been him. So I
Mm.
was a little bit surprised, but yeah, no, you can't take
What,
it
what
away
what did
from
you
them.
make of the overall series?
Yeah, no, that first one was nail biter. Like, I really thought that we were gonna go down in that one, and yeah, just the confidence, like just seeing them come back, that was kind of what set the tone for the series. You kind of just see that
Mm.
traditional Queensland and state of origin kind of game, and so that kind of just got me excited about the series. Game two, as a Queenslander, you gotta you watch it and love it, but yeah, disappointing. Like, I
Mm.
guess those experiments, kind of having a laugh of what TPJ coming in and then kind of those changes, and then the Hines kind of saga of not getting the chance to step in. But
Yeah,
Moses being solid there, you can't really argue with it. But at the same time, like you're saying, a lot of these guys, it's kind of like he was doing a Fozzie rotation policy or something.
yeah,
Guys just
exactly.
coming in, drop him, and then all of a sudden he wins game three, and everyone forgets the past. And so it's kind of going down that same track that he might get another turn next year.
Yeah,
Few injuries, and he'll be off the rails again. But so yeah, I think it was a typical Origin series. It keeps it alive, but yeah, it'd be awesome to go back to the back and forth, like you have the two in your state and one in the opposite state, and it changes around. Like, I know they got to grow the game and do those neutral places, but yeah, they're never neutral.
yeah.
Especially if you go Melbourne, that's not a neutral ground for New
Nah.
South.
Mm.
Um, cool. I wanted to go to some of the games we missed quickly from last week. Um, Knights Tigers, Kalen Ponga in that game, and Bradman Best coming off, like you were saying, that lift you get from Origin. I caught that game. Yeah, that was a hard game for the Tigers, but man, the Knights are on fire in that, especially Kalen. Not
Yeah.
sure if you caught that one.
Yeah, I caught bits of it, yeah, and I took the same things out of it that you took, eh?
Mm,
Yeah, Ponga, he's looking good again. But he likes that same spot, sort of 3 or four in from the left,
Yeah.
and he always attack. That's his preferred side to attack, and that's his preferred spot. So,
Well, and that's the thing. As a
um,
spectator, you see it, and you kind of see him kind of hovering around near the third or fourth play. You kind of know he's going to start pushing up. But yeah, obviously he's just too quick because
mm,
I'm sure the defenders know the same thing too. They must watch videos of it all week, trying to prepare. But yeah, I guess just his similar to Cody, just that knowledge of which option to take,
yeah,
hold and run, go out the back, or his long pass. Very similar skill set on that left hand side too. They can quickly. The commentators always say it like he sums up the play really well. Like he just knows the option.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's got that speed and that footwork as well, so he'll do like a goose step or a step inside. But if
yeah,
he goose steps on you on the outside, then that defender's rushing across, but the other guy's has to slide in. He doesn't trust that other guy's going to get there, so he gets two defenders, and then he ball
yeah,
plays off the
yeah.
back of that. So
Well,
yeah, he's very good at that move. But I think the Knights got like 3 tries in the first 12 minutes. I'm just looking at the breakdown of that game now, and
yeah,
that was it. It was pretty much over.
well,
Not long
yeah,
after that, you know what I mean. So a poor start from the Tigers again.
yeah. And that's the thing. Like I guess especially after kind of hoping that they'd turn around or just start to show something, and
Mm.
to have a start like that, yeah, um, yeah, it never looked like it was going to turn as well. Awesome to see Uppy back up and running again, but yeah, real hard for those, especially guys like Jareem Buller.
Oh
He's
mate,
been
he's
getting,
good, eh?
just as soon as he's come on the scene, you got to give him raps. Just the work he's been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hard seeing guys like that, but yeah.
Mm.
Um, on the Tigers, a lot of external talk there. I don't know if it's a slow news week. Um, but they're trying to go for Aiden Caesar, and then there's the Scott Fulton saga with Benji saying that he wants Jack Cogger. So it seems to be a lot of infighting, and I guess looking at their second wooden spoon this year. Um,
Yeah.
I guess yeah, you get to that point where everyone's just looking for whose fault is it. Kevy went through a very similar thing up at the Broncos.
Mm.
Like you said earlier offline, with Ben Aiken. Um, how did they resolve that? Because I mean, you look at Kevy, the hope that he kept talking, and you kind of looked at that team, a lot of young kids, and you kind of thought, oh, they look like they've got the potential. Um, is Aiken gone? Is that the only
He's
change? Just
gone.
been
He's gone now. So yeah, I don't think they had quite a clear demarcation of who was in charge of what role, and there was a bit of overlapping between Aiken and Kevy Walters as well. And I heard Aiken, he spoke on James Graham's podcast about it. So he thought that he was he was overseeing all the football operations. So he thought his job was to look after all of football and grow all of the game. And
yeah.
Kevy was thinking, no, we're just going to worry about the top 25 and not so much about the pathways and all the rest of it, or the top
Okay, yeah.
side. And there was a bit of they were on different pages. And then Aiken, he brought up how it doesn't matter what he personally thinks and all the rest of it and what Walters or thinks as well. If they're not all aligned and they're not
Mm,
all pulling in the same direction, it's just not going to work. So he eventually got on the same page as Kevy Walters, because if things go wrong, it's normally the coach
yeah,
who's on the firing line, as it has been with Kevy. So if the buck stops with him, it has to be sort of got to align with him, and that's what he ended up doing. And they started to turn things around. And Aiken's now moved on. He's the CEO of Queensland Rugby League now, so
mm,
and he's got another good job. But you're right, it's similar to the Tigers where Fulton wants one thing, Benji wants another thing. All of them are working hard. I've heard good things about Fulton,
yeah,
about how,
yeah.
how he is as a recruitment guy, how he's
Mm.
he's very good at his job. But if he's not aligned with what Benji wants in a player, then it doesn't really matter how good you are because you're not on the same page. And this is another example. I think I don't mind them hiring Fulton because I think he, like I mentioned before, he's very good at what he does.
Mm.
But it's more the process of him getting the job, which I think was the issue. Because
Yeah,
the
and I
two
think that's the
jobs that
thing. It's a bit of a storm in a teacup. Like I don't know if it is as bad as people reporting it, like with Benji in the relationship. Um, but yeah, like just stuff like that when it's coming to the fore, when the team's going that badly, it's quite hard. Um, good. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like off the players because it's easy to kind of say the players aren't doing enough and they're not interested in not turning up. But when there's stuff like that happening at the top, it's hard for the players to be focused because you, you look at when they had the Anzac shirt that came out earlier in the year,
Mm,
and they got it printed with the wrong army or something. It wasn't even American, and it was the players that were left to front and try and explain. Yeah, yeah, we should have
yeah,
got it checked. It's like it's got nothing to do with the players. So I think it's nice to kind of with the RLPA stuff, the players kind of aren't really fronting, so kind of takes the focus off them. And it's like, well, yeah, if these things are happening in the back end, it's, it's no wonder that these guys are, kind of struggling at training, not really sure what's going on, as much as Benji and um, what's his name, trying to run that team.
yeah. I think also like because what you're talking about there with the jerseys, that's poor leadership from the top guys, not
Mm-mm.
fronting that, not keep not even checking if
Yeah,
if it's at least an Anzac army in there. I think they had Bateman on there, who's
yeah,
English, to
yeah,
front
yeah,
the
exactly.
Anzac.
Yeah, to front the jerseys when they first put them out.
And it's like, yeah, that is just poor leadership from the top. And this is
Mm,
what a lot of this stems down to. So, like I talked about the process of Fulton coming on board. So, Fulton could be good at his job, but he's hired to work alongside Benji, and the two relationships, they need to have that synergy between those two.
yeah,
And so, for him to get the job without even Benji or Tim Sheen's even knowing about it,
yeah.
they just hired him and just chucked him in there. And they're not even sure if these guys will work together or what their
Like
goals
they probably
are
would,
as
it'd
aligned.
probably be
So
fine. Like it probably would have been, match made in heaven had they just done the simple things. And I guess, like you're saying, like
mm,
just the same as the jerseys, like left hand not knowing what the right's doing, and then
yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
here it is, like cool, let's do it. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. Benji, can get all the guys he wants. Fulton will go find them, and then like, hey, we got him on. Like, hey, I didn't know about it. And I guess yeah, that's just that, just feeling undermined. Whereas like, guys, like, yeah, whoever's running the office, I don't know how big the Tigers offices are. Maybe it's quite hard to get across and talk to each other. Maybe
Yeah.
it's too many meetings via Teams.
Well, they signed those two brothers from the Seagulls.
Fainu,
Yeah.
the
Now,
younger
one
is,
of them is a gun,
yeah,
and he's a 5'8", though. So, it'll be hard for him to come in and make it if there's that lack of stability in the team.
mm
So, I would hope that they go for Caesar for that purpose,
yeah,
because Caesar is a veteran and he can be the guy who leads them around, and that allows Fainu to just come in and play his normal game while he's still learning the NRL.
yeah. Because that's the thing, especially in the climate that the club's going through. Any new signings, there's so much pressure, and for some, this kid that yes, he's doing well, and people are talking him up, but yeah, when supporters are putting all their hopes on him, it becomes another Luke Brooks. Like he
Mm,
came in with all the backing, the future Andrew Johns, and got the big contract, and then he just struggled because yeah, like I guess they were looking for that turnaround, and after 12 years, they're still waiting.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, was a tough one.
Mhm. Um, Broncos Dogs. You catch that game?
I saw bits of the highlights there. Good to see young Dean Mariner in there as well, getting an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. He
Yeah,
looks like
yeah,
a good player for the future. And Billy Walters, who I've been critical of on this podcast before, I thought he's coming along, he's growing as well. I thought, oh, this is the coach's son, so he's getting
yeah.
a game. But to his credit, he's getting better. Eh? This is probably his best season in the top grade, I thought. So
Mm.
um, they've got real problems there at the Dogs, though. Their defense is woeful. 44 points they leaked for a team who's got a defensive guru for a coach. Um,
Yeah, he mentioned
they're
that.
struggling.
That's why he was brought in. Like he was the Warriors got the attacking coach and they got the defensive coach. So yeah, I think it's real hard for him when he's seeing his team leaking that many points. So
Yeah,
um, Adam Reynolds, yeah, I guess it just goes to show, like what we're talking about the Tigers, how much of a difference a really solid seven makes.
yeah,
Like look at the Broncos, all the dramas they had. Bottom, the first wooden spoon that great club ever got, and that was kind of a real shock to them. and then they go out and get win and get someone like Reynolds, and man, like talk about steering a ship. He's
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, the I don't know the Cowboys Manly game with the Storm Roosters. You catch either of those games?
Yeah, yeah. I caught both of them, bits and pieces of both of them. Yeah, I thought the Cowboys they're in really good form,
Mm.
aren't they? So one thing I picked up is the way that they attack. I actually read some articles, some analysis on it, but the Cowboys they're really good at targeting certain defenders. So this time they went after Lockie Croker, who's the hooker,
Yeah.
and he made 54 tackles, and so he was the target for guys like
Oh,
Tom Malolo and their middles to just try to collapse that middle. And they opened up space out wide for the guy likes to drink water and Holmes and these type of guys. But before that, I think they played. Can't remember who they played before that, but when they played Melbourne, they made Munster just make a truckload of tackles. They go
yeah, yeah.
after real specific guys and just put all of their just sticking to that game
Just the
plan of
traffic
really
just
targeting.
sends there
Yeah,
all day, and then
send them traffic all day and then
yeah,
open them up in other areas. So it's working the master for them. So they're a team outside the eight. We'll probably touch on it a bit later when we took a look at the top eight analysis. But that's one team outside the eight who I wouldn't want to play them if they make it.
yeah. Yeah, that Storm game. Yeah, the Storm. Oh man, Xavier Coates was a freak in that. Like I was like, what are you doing? What did you do on Wednesday? You waiting for this game?
Exactly, exactly.
Hey, like that, the intercept that he pulled off in that game, just jumping out it looked so awkward, but man, he's like a giraffe when he just runs off of that ball, and
Hmm.
yeah, nah, he had a really good game, and yeah, um, yeah, again, we'll talk about it later, but I know I've put a line through Manly because of the Roosters in another game, but the Roosters done, the Roosters cooked.
Yeah, I think so. They're done. They're done. Their attack, they've got real issues with their attack. I'm not sure what it is,
Hmm.
but yeah, I was just looking at some of the stats. They've scored the second least amount of tries. So I know early on it was Sam Walker. Sam Walker
Yeah,
was the one
yeah,
who was essentially the scapegoat for their poor attack. He was the one who got dropped to reserve grade. He was the high profile guy
yeah.
who was forced to make way. But since he's been gone, it hasn't gotten any better. So I don't know
Well,
what the
yeah.
answer is. I don't know why their attack is like that when they've got such superstars attacking guys in their team. But something's just not clicking there. And yeah, they're done. So I know the competition's so close that they could potentially still mathematically make
Mm.
it, but yeah, I'll have to see a lot more from them to believe it. But yeah, I watched that game,
Yeah,
that Storm game,
yeah.
and one thing Bellamy, he's really persisted with Big Nelson on that right edge, so he's always
Mm.
been a middle guy, and that's proving to be a real masterstroke. So he's so hard to handle that they've been able to isolate him one on one. And then he got a quick play the ball, which Harry Grant he scored a try off the back of that quick play the ball, and then he runs decoy, and the defense is so worried about him because he's so massive.
Yeah.
Jerome Hughes was able to just dummy and run through and score as well. So
And
having
he's
him on the
worked hard.
edge is
Like I
good.
guess yeah, putting a big body like that, like yeah, running through for an edge is good for him on attack. But man, well, he works hard on that edge too. Like for a big guy, chasing hard. And I guess just as he'll reach out and make tackles too because he's so tall.
Yeah, but that was always going to be the hard part from if you're defending in the middle, guys are just running straight to you.
Yeah.
But when you've got guys playing up the back and all this other stuff on the edge, it's completely different questions that you're getting asked out that way. So that was always going to be the hard part. But on attack, yeah, you can't. You have to take him even if he's a decoy because he's so powerful.
Well, yeah,
You
yeah,
can't just
and
sort
it
of
can't be just a
half
couple.
shoulder
Yeah,
him.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, and I think that's the threat that he keeps bringing. Um, yeah, amazing. Like yeah, the Storm once they start clicking again, kind of a slow start to their season. Um, I guess similar to what people thought the Roosters would go on a kind of a slow start.
Hmm.
They've usually been slow starters and then they come through. So I don't know if that's kind of really. bitten them in the backside this year. Kind of the embedding Brandon Smith, a few injuries early in the season.
Yeah,
Kind of those little dramas or Swahili at the beginning, moving to rugby and stuff. And it's kind of just those kind of real unsettling things. And then I think usually around about 5 or 6, they kind of click into gear and they go on a run. And I think when those things didn't happen, they kind of pulled the trigger on Sam Walker, and then it was like dominoes after that. Just
yeah,
try, that's when they started moving Joey around, trying different stuff. And then I think, yeah, once Origin hit, they always knew Origin period, they kind of dropped because of their reps. So I think just their normal routine is just so out that they're kind of used to kind of having that and timing it right, and they just got it wrong this year.
yeah, yep. Agree with that.
Um, the Mighty Warriors, 44-12 over the Sharks. That was we spoke about it last time we talked. Like that was actually last time we kind of there was the Eels game. That was one we were able to beat a B team Eels because they had some reps out. But this was kind of a key, and probably this week. But this was key to kind of define we the real deal. So impressive to see and not just win, but just to click into gear and really just enjoy what they're doing out there. That was awesome to see.
Mm. Yeah, I got to go to the game. It's the first game I got to go to since my injury. And yeah, the crowds, you can really see a lot of bandwagoners jumping on
Oh
because
yeah,
the
yeah,
games, Mount Smart's always full now. So,
yeah.
and it's good. It's good. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
getting in behind the Warriors, which is it's really good to see. But I thought, in terms of the game itself, I thought the coach Webster he came up with this excellent game plan for the Warriors again. So the
Mm,
Warriors were quite deliberate in their attack and they used the footwork of their middles. So it was Harris, Fanor Blake, Walker when he came on as well to get those quick play the balls, and then they'd get Egan scooting out of dummy half and
mm,
getting the edges to turn in, particularly when they went to the right side, and that isolated Moylan in particular as well as Talakai. So Rocco Berry on that side, he was sort of the main beneficiary of that,
yeah,
and he had probably that was probably the best he's ever played for the Warriors.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I
And
think so.
and, and as a result of that, them isolating those two guys, Moylan and Talakai, both of those guys have been dropped to reserve grade this
Oh
week. So
shit! Oh wow!
yeah, the Warriors really exposed them. So yeah, that was
But the
excellent
game
coaching.
plan, yeah, they just kind of well, yeah, like just the way they play. Like I never seen them play so well, but it's just funny. Like even when they take it to the line, like just almost so slow. Like saying, yeah, I guess that's what condenses that line because they take it up and then they slow right down. And you're like, what the heck? And
Yeah,
some of those plays, like Tohu's like pretty much in the line, so it's like oh, he's taking the hit, and then he just turns and puts it out the back. So
mm,
um, yeah, it's real hard not to smile and grin when you talk about them and watch them at the moment. Yeah, and um, yeah, everyone's saying hottest ticket in town. Like amazing having the All Blacks play the the night before.
mm.
I know some friends that some of the boys went to the game and they were like, "Man, is this Mount Smart?" Because it was all done up on Saturday night, had the flames off the roof and everything. So yeah, it was a bit special on Saturday night. They
Yeah,
put it on. But yeah, nah, the boys are going so well. Good to see Sean signing on for another year for the Warriors again.
yeah,
Did he sign a
absolutely.
year? Has he gone
Yeah, he
for
signed
it?
a 1 year extension.
Okay,
Signed a 1 year
just 1 year.
extension, which is good. Yeah, I'm pretty
Mm,
happy about that. But it's a good point you make about them playing slow because I watched I think it was the Matty John show or whatever it was, and he talked about that with Sean Johnson. So the guys on the outside are getting a bit spooked when he's slowing down and then speeding up.
yeah, yeah.
The defenders. So if you're the good defenders, yeah, you have to try and keep your line. Everyone's rushing up or everyone's holding back, or well, it doesn't matter what they do, but as long as they're all together then
Mm-mm.
the defense can hold. And him slowing down is sort of pulling guys forward a little bit, and then or
Just
someone's
wrecking that
holding
line
back.
so there,
Yeah,
yeah.
just that sort of slow play and mistimed play where you slow down and speed up, dummy, and then play out the back and play short or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. It's just spooking that defensive line into making bad decisions. So that's a really good point you make there.
Mm. And I like how it's they talked ages ago, probably a few seasons when Sean was still with the Warriors, and then when he moved to the Sharks, and people were talking like when he was at the Sharks, they talk about like that halfback kind of changes their game as they're trying to lose their speed, and so they were thinking, he was getting to that point where he'd been in his golden season to start playing, and they kind of didn't click. At the Sharks, he got really good there at the end, then he got injured, then he came back. But man, yeah, just what our Webster's unlocked in him. Um, yeah, it's just a change player, like just really like they were saying, um, yeah, just that true seven steering the guys around, and he's still got that step. We saw it in some of the early games when everyone was
Mm,
just. So it was amazing just to see, yeah, that he's still got that in him, but he's just changed up his game a bit, and
yeah.
man,
I think also like you remember back to when he was younger, he was really athletic for halfback. He was really fast. He
mm,
had that ridiculous sidestep, so
yeah,
he didn't have that slow play in his game. He was
yeah,
like, I'm going
everything
to
100.
sprint and I'm going to step and I'm going to do everything 100 mile an
Kind of
hour.
like Reece Walsh, yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
using his
exactly.
speed and just a few errors here and there, but when he's brilliant, he's brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so that was something he's added later on. I guess as he's had a horror run of injuries and he doesn't have that explosiveness anymore,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
had to add these other parts of his game, and his rugby league IQ just through 200 games
yeah.
has shot through the roof. So yeah, good points there. I thought
Hmm.
I sort of felt a bit bad for the Sharks, because prior to that game they were sitting quite comfortably. They were coming third.
Well,
Then
yeah,
they lose,
yeah.
and now they've
On the
dropped all the way
table,
down to sixth, and
yeah.
they're only 2 points off behind, the Cowboys, who were 2 points ahead of the Cowboys, who are in ninth. So they're
And
in
that's
they're in real
what
trouble
someone
now. They
would
got a hard run.
yeah, Sai mentioned earlier in the season, like kind of when they came up against the top eight, and he kept saying, "Oh, they're awesome at beating the minions," and
Yeah,
that's when he was having a laugh against the Warriors because this was kind of, yeah, I guess out of all of the top eight, people kind of laughed at the Warriors, like, "Oh well, yeah, they're the only ones," and so it was good to kind of, yeah, solidify being, we've kind of beaten a lot of these top eight guys now,
yeah, hmm.
and so they're kind of, giving that confidence to the boys as well. Um, and Panthers, Dolphins. It's actually pretty close on paper, but yeah, man, the Panthers just keep doing what they're doing. As much as people are talking up the Warriors and kind of the Broncos doing what they're doing, um, yeah, Panthers still on top of the table, just chipping away at their job.
Yeah, they are. They're looking good for a three-peat, which is
Mm,
unthinkable in the modern game. With salary cap bites and all the rest of it, you start finding some success and you have to start shedding a whole heap of players, and that's why it's hard to stay on top for so long. But
mm,
they look again. This is the third year in a row where they've been, arguably the best team. You could potentially say their fourth year in a row. I thought that year that they lost to Melbourne in the final, they were arguably the best team that year as well. So
mm. Yeah, and kind of building that empire, kind of like this their own culture, like what Storm did, So their
mm,
culture is this whole next man up mentality.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
same what happened last year, when Nathan got injured and O'Sullivan started the year and he was on fire for them. He was like super coach points guy for the first four weeks
Mm,
until Clary came back, and now, injury again, and is Cogger standing in? But yeah,
yeah.
it's no a bunch of unknowns, like, but they just do what they need to do, and all of a sudden they become names. But yeah, just real good systems there. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like you talk about that, losing Nathan Cleary, he's
yeah,
possibly the best player in the game in
yeah,
their halfback. Like you look at the other guys who are sort of supposed to be in that contender category, like the Broncos, for instance. If they lost Adam Reynolds,
yeah.
I'll say, oh, you're not coming anywhere. You're not a contender anymore.
Well, you look at
Even if the
Manly. Look at
Warriors lost
Manly.
Sean Johnson, I would be like,
Yeah,
oh, well,
so yeah,
thanks guys.
we did well, but yeah,
We did well, but yeah, we're
yeah,
making up the numbers now.
yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah,
And
those
touch wood,
key
that doesn't
players
happen.
in your team that are especially not players that are just good in your team, but yeah, like a real key player that can make or break your team. Yet their systems, yeah, really at the yeah, sitting at the top of the table without doing much showboating. Without, I think there's a lot of focus that's gone off them because of Cleary's injury, and yeah, I think because it's so stacked, everyone's kind of talking up, talking about the Warriors, who's going to stay in the eight. If these guys sit comfortable, well, not comfortable, I mean, sit in even points with the Broncos, but kind of after their start to the year and kind of other stuff happening, I think people are just written them off as well. Three, like you're saying, it's unthinkable in this game. Like, oh, nah, nah. It used to be something that could happen back in the days, and the Roosters were the last to do it, but
Mm.
there's no chance we're looking at these guys doing it, which is probably to their benefit that they can just kind of focus inwards, get their run right as they kind of prepare.
Yeah.
So
They
yeah,
that centre they got there,
Tango,
Tango.
yeah,
Oh mate, he's got a beautiful try in his form.
unsuspecting
Um,
speed too. Just when he goes out, oh
yeah, and a team that's got a whole heap of superstars and Origin players and all these players.
yeah,
He's one of the guys who he's a gun, but doesn't really probably get as much credit as your Clearys and Luais
mm,
and Yos and that. But he looks the player of the future, eh? Um, and again,
just a
I
quiet
thought
dude
Best sort of
too.
got picked from Origin from nowhere. And I thought Tungle was ahead of him, along with some of those other guys like Stags and all the rest of it.
What's
But it's going
Tango
to be
play the
interesting,
right
I think.
side? Is he a right side?
He played right on the weekend. I
Mm-hmm.
think Crichton got rested,
Ah,
but I
okay.
think when Crichton's there, Crichton plays right and he plays left. But he looks versatile enough because he had a
Yeah,
good showing there on the right against the
yeah, yeah.
Dolphins anyway. So he looks good.
Um, Last game of the round, I caught bits of this one. I thought Pete was going to jump on tonight and wrap his eels. Staying in the fight, but going down. Tana's a bit screwed at the end there.
Did they?
Eh?
They only
Yeah.
caught bits of the highlights of that one as well. So yeah, um, yeah, I don't know if they got screwed, but Gutho, he was really good.
Yeah.
He well, he was pretty fresh after playing 8 or 3 minutes of Origin. So
Oh, yeah, poor Gutho. Yeah,
well,
I thought they had it comfortably, so I'm not sure why they didn't give him a bit more time. Just try something different, but
mm, you get 30 grand a game for Origin, so that's 10,000 a minute. He got paid. I heard someone mentioning, so
yeah,
good
that's what
money.
Pete kept going on about. Peter kept saying, "Hey, mate, it's not bad for for 30 grand." I was like, "Oh, take it how you want, mate."
Yeah. Like, for us as Warriors supporters, we're glad, but you think about that. He got pulled from the Warriors game that week before Origin
Yeah,
to go into camp, and they needed him, man. They needed him that week. And then you
yeah,
say, oh, well, you can have the last 3 minutes when the game's already won. No, if I was an Eels guy, I'd be like, bruh, you
yeah,
flipping.
exactly. And I think
His
that was
season's
what
on
I
the
was saying to
line.
Pete because man, there's a lot of commentary, and so I want to talk about the top eight because there's a lot of commentary about how tight it is, um, and who's likely to go, and stay in that eight. Um, and I guess that conversation starts because of kind of the ones that are behind. So on 20 points, you got so inside the eight is you got Panthers on 30, and then the Rabbits are eighth on 24. Then outside of that, you got a group of three. So you got the Cowboys who are on 24 as well. So that's just points differential why they're outside. And then you got the Knights and Manly on 21, Titans, Roosters, Dolphins on 20. So they're both kind of like 2 games away outside of the eight.
Mm.
So it's kind of like the Cowboys seem to be the mathematical chance of being the ones who come up. But then it goes back to who's going to fall out.
Yeah, I know Simon. He wrote a really good article about this
Mm,
on our website. Just for anyone who's listening wants a bit more in depth on it, you can check it out on our website there, the WesWes Network website. But I
nice.
think I think he's on the money there. That the Sharks they're in real danger. So they've got a tough draw, and that loss to the Warriors could be crucial. It stuffed up their points differential. Their form they haven't beaten any one of the top eight, so I know they've got a hard run. Them and the Eels have got a tough run too. So just trying to have a look at the draw, and those are the two teams who I think are in the most danger. Those two teams, even though the Sharks in sixth look like they might be okay, but I know Simon. He probably used that ladder predictor. He's got them falling out, and I agree. I think they're going to fall out. I think the Sharks will be a team
Mm.
that falls out. So I'm not sure what your take is.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like the Eels, similar hard run as well. Like I guess yeah, on form the Sharks haven't been able to big those anyone in the top eight. Sitting on 26 points, same as the Warriors. Eels and Rabbits on 24, but then the Eels run in. Um, they've got Cowboys, Storm, um, Dragons, Broncos,
Oh,
Roosters, and then Panthers last.
well, no, they're out.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
think
they've
they're going to
got
drop
probably
out.
maybe two games in there that are like in the Dragons and maybe the Roosters. But the rest, I mean, that's one, two, three, four real hard games coming up for them on their run to the final. So yeah, I'm seeing the Cowboys coming in, and I'm suspecting with this run home, the Eels are going to be unfortunate.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see what Simon picked there because he's just looking at his article. He's got them finishing holding into seventh. So
Oh,
I
okay.
did a ladder predictor as well earlier on, and I'm looking at my one.
Yeah.
I've got the Eels dropping out too. So I've got the Eels dropping out, and I've got the Sharks out.
Oh. So
I
who
think
comes
both
up?
of them are going to get dropped. I think the Cowboys are going to make it,
Yeah.
and I've got a feeling that the Dolphins are going to make it, even though they're
Oh.
way down. The Dolphins, yeah, I think that they're going to be a team that sneaks in. I think if you look at Wayne Bennett, the way he coaches, his teams normally have a bit of a lull through the middle, and then they come back really strong at the end. So they've got another easy draw as well, similar to the Warriors. They've got the Warriors in fifth, but that's the only top eight team that they'll play
Mm.
for the rest of the years. They've got very winnable games. You
Oh,
know, they got
that's
the
a big. Yeah,
Bulldogs,
actually.
Knights, Roosters, Tigers. You can beat all of
Yeah,
those
just
teams.
two of the top two, really. Like
So
two,
I've
four,
got
six, eight.
I've got them going on a bit of a run. I think the Warriors they'll play Warriors in the last round, and I think the Warriors would have already secured, by my calculations, a top
Top.
four spot.
Oh,
So I think they're
that's.
going to rest their players on that last week before the finals. And which is why I've got the Dolphins winning it,
Oh, that's a way.
and that's
Yeah,
going to
that's.
propel the Dolphins into eighth spot.
Oof.
On the back of the Warriors resting players in that last week. So
Some brave
it's
predictions
really
there. So
interesting.
Dolphins in, Eels and Sharks out. Dolphins and
Yeah,
Cowboys in. Oh.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's fluid. It's fluid, but yeah. I mean,
I
it's going to
like
be
it. I like
interesting.
it, mate. At week 21, we're looking at Dolphins making a late run into the top eight.
Yeah, they could potentially win all their games. They've got the Cowboys, which could be a tough one, but that's a Queensland derby, so
Yeah. And I
anything
guess if
sort of
they
goes
get on
there.
a run, get into the habit of winning again, they
Mm,
got four, like the bye, a bit of a reset this week. Yeah, and like you're saying, a Wayne Bennett coach team, you get on a good run, 4 games in a row of wins. Yeah, they could have a Wayne Bennett run to the final, man.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's all my prediction is based on them beating the Warriors in that last round because the Warriors will rest players the week before
Yeah.
the final, which is my prediction. Um, yeah. So it's gonna be really interesting and really tight there.
So with your prediction there, so who's your top four? We'll
Yeah,
make a
I've got the
call.
Panthers coming first. I've got the Warriors coming second. I think they're going to win all of their games except for that Dolphins one. And then I've got the Rabbits coming third, Broncos fourth.
Oh wow, that's a
Um,
lot of movement at the moment then compared to what it is
it
now.
is. I might have been drunk when I did more because I've got a lot of teams making some big moves.
Yeah,
Um,
some movers and shakers there, mate.
yeah, a crucial game this weekend. Where I'm sure when we do our preview, we'll talk about it. But this was the main difference that I had with Simon with his article, and I think it boils down to this one weekend game, which we'll talk about a bit later. How are you seeing that top four? Did you done a ladder predictor as well, didn't you?
Yeah. So I did a ladder predictor. I had them beating um the Rabbits and then on a bit of a run, and so I ended up having them. I still ended up having them second on the predictor.
Hmm.
So there must be a couple of other games they picked up as well. I think we still got a buy round as well, so there's still some free points in there for us as well.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much just going off the numbers, kind of the form at the moment. Um, yeah, I hadn't really thought of a late run from the Dolphins. When you said it though, kind of just looking at where they're sitting, Um, I think that because just points wise, they're outside. I don't know. I don't see. I haven't looked at the predictor if they can make it in. Um, it just opens up the door for the Roosters and Titans too, though. And I guess it goes on again, like who they're up against.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at but yeah, the Titans have been real unlucky their last couple of weeks. Coming real close, and so I
Mm.
don't know if they can go on a late run. Foreign's been looking real good. Um, and they seem to changed up a bit with Sexton coming in. But yeah, maybe a bit late for them to get on a bit of a run. So I didn't have any of those teams um, on 20 or anything having a late run.
Mm.
Manly either. Yeah, I think they're kind of struggling for depth, even when they look at kind of the future years, like what Manly's going to do. Similar to Tigers, like I know when they've still got DCE there, they've got some good buys coming next year. But the depth probably is a concern. Garrett's been awesome. Um, but yeah, I guess a lot of that structure and gameplay flows around Turbo. So yeah, I only pretty much had the Cowboys coming in to the 8, and then the Eels being unfortunate to drop out. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of commentators have said, it's good for the game too, the way the Warriors are playing.
Yep.
Um, Pete keeps giving me crap about it, but he's like, man, more CEOs should complain. Look at all the Warriors calls. But I feel like it's still the same, but we're just getting it 50-50 now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
remember
doesn't
there
feel
was
like we're
that
getting.
CEO of Vodafone who
Yeah,
went
yeah,
on a rant.
yeah,
So I don't know if that he got sort of scolded for that,
yeah,
absconded for his words by the NRL, and I get that. He's a major sponsor calling out the integrity of the referees in the game. So I get that, but I do also wonder if subconsciously that helped us get a bit more favourable
yeah,
draws. So yeah, I'm not really.
yeah. When the major sponsor, when it comes to the nuts and bolts of what the game's about, it's like, oh yeah, we can't get these guys backing teams.
Yeah,
They're gonna throw their toys and then take their money elsewhere, go support a different game that doesn't have bad refs. Um,
I
nah,
don't know. It's sort of that the adage that you make your own luck, and I
yeah,
wonder if there's some truth to that because the Warriors have perennially been cellar dwellers.
yeah,
And if you're at the bottom, you're just not getting any luck or any calls. Similar to like the All Blacks always seem to get favourable
mm,
calls
yeah.
because they always seem to be at the top, and it's like you know what, maybe it's sort of an unconscious biasness. But the Warriors have been, they've been informed. They've been one of the best teams all year,
I
and
think that's the thing. Like,
they're getting
when
some
they have
calls.
had calls go against him, I think earlier in the season that was that resilience. Like,
Mm,
not just points, but kind of playing through that. Because yeah, there's just games you used to kind of seeing them get a few penalties blown against them, their heads kind of drop, and they're just a bit dejected, and or they've kind of lost focus on the game plan and just going out to put in the hits. But yeah, just seeing that, yeah, just being able to get on with the game. I think that's what impressed me most is just seeing the way they use their kind of I'll let my actions speak, and just the way they've been playing. Um, yeah, I think that's just taken a lot of that out of the refs' hands too. Like a lot of the times when we've had those 50-50 calls make the difference is because we've just let the game get out of our hands. Trying to cry over a 50-50 call because we let a 20-point lead get out of get away from us.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I think that's right. And you sort of, if you get a rough penalty against you, but they kick up field and then they tap it and then you defend that rough call. It sort of gets forgotten about it. It's only if you get a rough call and they score from it that you're like, oh man, that try shouldn't have been allowed. And I think that's sort of maybe one of the reasons where you don't know. Maybe they are getting rough calls, or you're not noticing it because the Warriors are able to defend those calls as well. So I know that
mm-hmm.
a lot of the bottom teams complain they don't get the rough calls, but you only remember a rough call if it costs you a try, and then that try costs you a game or whatever. If you defended that rough call,
Well,
then it
yeah,
wouldn't you
yeah,
wouldn't even
yeah,
care.
yeah, and I think that's what they've really turned around. Yeah, just owning their results.
Hmm.
Um, cool. Yeah, let's skip ahead and then preview this round quickly coming up. So there's a game in flight at the moment. But yeah, what are you thinking of the result of this game? We're at halftime, just past halftime. Tigers Dragons.
I'm just trying to see what the score is now.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it's Battle of the Wooden Spoons. It looks pretty close.
yeah.
So, I'm glad that we're doing the podcast during this game because it's not a game that I would worry about too much. But, there are a lot of players out there who are potentially playing for their future contracts.
Mm,
Both sides will be looking at roster changes for next year, you'd think, after being quite poor all around.
yeah.
But, the Tigers on paper, at least to me, look like they've got a stronger team. So I'll pick the Tigers to go on. Tigers by 4 on this one.
Yeah, is Uppy playing today? Is he in that squad?
Yeah, I think he's playing. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, game tomorrow night. Home game. You getting along tomorrow?
Nah, I won't be there tomorrow. Nah.
Um, Man, yeah, this should be a cracker again. This is a key one for us.
Hmm.
The Raiders, top eight, and man, these guys are being, yeah, silent assassins, just staying in the eight, getting in there firstly, and then just staying in there. How do you see this running?
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, like you mentioned. Fourth against fifth,
Mm,
so two quite strong picks going head to head, and whoever wins that battle through the middle will ultimately win the game. But I think the Warriors are better defensively, and I think that will see them home. So I'll go Warriors by 8, particularly playing at Go Media Stadium as it's called now. I think they'll get a win there.
yeah, let's go. Yeah, I'm thinking Chance gonna, man, I don't know how they've been able to, yeah, get into the eight and do their season with Sebastian Chris at the back. He's probably one of the lowest scoring fullbacks on Supercoach.
Yeah. I had him for a period through the early to middle stages, and he was getting me nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean they've done well. Like, I guess they're just working for each other. Tomoko has been amazing for them.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to Chance having a big one against his old team.
Oh, yeah, of
Um,
course. Mm.
yeah, yeah. So that should be a good preview there and a run for the eight. This should be a good one. Friday, the second Friday night game, Broncos and Rabbits. Um, yeah, late injury news there too. You mentioned big out with Latrell not back in.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I think I had the Rabbits winning it just on the Latrell factor, but that makes it a bit closer. But you're right, sort of two good games on that Friday night, so
Mm,
it's going to be must-watch TV. Um, this could potentially be the match of the round. Like I mentioned before, Simon, he wrote a really good article for our website for previewing the race to the finals,
yeah.
and he's got the Broncos finishing second and the Rabbitohs finishing sixth. So if I use that ladder predictor, like I did,
Mm.
um, I get very similar outcomes to what Simon gets, but
Oh,
only if the Broncos win this game. But if I
okay.
if
So
I
it's a
change
big
it to
change.
the Rabbitohs win,
Yeah.
that result pushes the Rabbitohs in my ladder predictor up to third, and the Broncos back down to fourth. So
Oh,
um,
okay.
this is going to be a crucial game and a close competition. But
Mm.
I think Arrow's back, Murray's back, Campbell Graham's back. There's a timely boost for them. So I'll take the Rabbits at home, and that win having massive ramifications for the final wash-up, like I mentioned.
Ooh, that's a big call. Yeah. I had the Broncos on this one just with Reese Walsh
Ooh,
injection back in as well. Kind of having a bit of a run for the finals. Um, yeah. It should be. Yeah, I think it is game of the round, especially with Cody Walker off that form he's had as well. So a lot of really good ins. Yeah, I guess they've been doing okay without Latrell. That would have been awesome to see him back in though.
yeah,
Um,
Latrell versus Walsh would be awesome.
yeah, that would have been a good one to see them battling it out. But yeah, no, I'm pipping the Broncos just for this game. But it should be an awesome one. Oh, there's another one. Again, like I was saying, so both of these teams sitting on 20 points. Maybe that's not right, but Titans Roosters 12th and 14th. What should be an easy call? I don't know. How are you seeing this game?
Yeah,
Probably a
that's a
closer
tough
game.
one, eh? I mentioned this earlier in the podcast, but Roosters are second to last in tries scored this season, and Titans have a bottom five. for tries conceded. So yeah, it's a shitty attack against Gaia defense on
Kaya
this one.
defense.
So yeah, I'm not sure which is worse, but I don't know. I keep coming back to the teams on paper, and the Roosters have got a gun roster.
Mm.
I think they'll get a win this week, so I'll go the Roosters. Roosters on
Oh,
that one, but not with much confidence. So how are you seeing that one?
nah, I'm going the Titans. Like I was
Oh,
saying, I
okay.
thought they could get a bit of a run. Especially with that forward pack. Just so impressive. I see Tino's not back in yet, so looks like Mo's been doing so well there, Mo Fotuita.
Mm.
Um, really leading at the front there. Um, so yeah, again on paper, man, the Roosters should take it. But yeah, nah, I think that combination that Fafita and Kieran Foran have just been building throughout the year.
Oh yeah.
It'll be good to see them open up in this game. Um, so yeah, I think it'll be a close one, but yeah, I'm picking Titans to get over the top on this one. Um, so that should be a good starter to Saturday. Later on Saturday night, the Knights and the Storm. Knights coming off of that nice game again. Ponga ripping up. Storm, yeah, a lot to prove. I think they're back to their full starting. Justin Ollerman, yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about this earlier again. So the Knights, they're really left side dominant with the attack, and Ponga really likes going down that side.
Mm,
So it'll be a big defensive assignment for Big Nelson. He defend on that edge, or Freeman Smith and a couple of others there. The Storm, they've got the fourth best defense, so I think they'll be up for that challenge on that edge. So I'll give the Storm a shout. Storm by 4 on that one.
nice. Yeah. Yeah. Again, the Knights have had glimpses. I think they just haven't got enough of a solid roster. That Jackson Hastings, Tyson Gamble coming together, still clunky. Um, yeah, I think they had a good game last week. Kalen kind of leading the way there, but yeah, Storm too strong. Yeah, I think Remus Smith's a good defender too.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, I think Storm will be too good for this one, too strong for. Um, should be able to just run over the Knights in that game. Uh, this is actually probably a crucial one. Kind of changes your predictor board as well again,
Yeah,
and kind of pushes the Cowboys into the 8 if they can win this. So Cowboys and Eels. Um, how are you seeing this?
yeah, it's gonna be a good game, crucial game. So this might actually be a really good game because I think the loser's gonna have a uphill battle to try and get in the 8. So you were talking about two teams that is effectively playing for their season, so could be a good game. But yeah, Cowboys have been in really good form. And I mentioned this before, they've done a really good job at targeting certain defenders to
Yeah,
unlock their attack. So I think someone like Dejan Arce,
yeah,
he might be the guy that they go for. He's a good attacker,
mm,
but he's not the best defender. And that defense is what sort of had him shuffling between reserve grade and first grade. So
yeah,
I think if they can get at someone like him, I think that they can unlock that Eels defense. So yeah, I'll go the Cowboys. I'll say Cowboys by 10 in that one.
yeah. I think they've just been running too hot. The Cowboys. The Eels got a lot of good back ins. Regan, Campbell Gillard's probably a huge out for them.
Oh, okay, didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So he got
Oh,
that.
right, he got suspended, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if he challenged, but I think he got 4 weeks. So yeah,
Shucks.
so that's him until like so. That's the Eagles are really going to struggle if they drop this game. Yeah, like you're saying, the way that targeted defense, Dejan, I think he aimed up against the Warriors, being an ex-Warriors, because yeah, his defense on that game, similar game plan, just running at him all day, but he did a good job. But yeah, a lot bigger bodies and the Cowboys team, Luciano back in there as well. So
Yeah.
um, Tomalolo on the bench. So yeah, Cowboys are firing at the right time, and a lot of their key players are coming back into the team at the right time too. So uh, yeah, I agree. I think the Cowboys will be too strong for this, and I think this is the beginning of where the Eels will, yeah, drop out of that predictor, like I was saying, and fall out of the 8. So
Hmm.
real big game for them. Yeah, that should be another a good one to watch on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Um, Sunday ticket. So the Panthers Bulldogs, first versus second to last.
Oh,
Much to say on this? I don't know if
no,
there's
not
anything.
really. I saw this. I just saw say I heard this real interesting stat. So we talked about Serrato, who's how he's the defensive coaching guru at the Panthers.
Mm.
But the Dogs have conceded 244 points just in their last 5 games. And you
Oh,
look at the Panthers, they've conceded 218 points in the whole season. So they've got some defensive issues, and the Panthers should run riot against them. I'm going to say.
yeah, that's such a disappointing stat. Yeah, and I think that's so hard for Serraldo. Trying to build a team around defense, and yeah, I guess first season, like you say, you can't kind of always get it right. Um, so yeah, there's not much to add to that. Um, Sharks, Manly. Um, yeah, I guess important one, like you're saying, for Sharks. I'm not sure if this is one of the ones you had them dropping in the predictor. I don't know if Manly can go on a bit of a run. I'm not sure what their draw looks like, but yeah, your thoughts on Manly at the moment, and China the Sharks after last week.
Yeah. It's the Sharks. They're in a real difficult spot. So their season is essentially on the line given the hard draw they've got, and they've got to try to win games against these types of teams, these teams that are on the outside of the eight. So I suppose I'm interested to see how the Connor Tracy Trindle combo goes
Mm-mm.
after Talakai and Moylan got the flick after last week. So hopefully that improves that edge defense because I think the Seagulls would watch that game and think, well, we're going to do the same moves.
Yeah,
But hopefully they can improve that defensively. Connor Tracy's actually quite good. I quite like him. So good pick, good replacement there. But yeah, I think me and Simon have them falling out the top eight, but not yet. I think they'll beat the Seagulls. So I'll go sort of Sharks by 8 points in that one.
yeah. I'm just looking at the teams. Yeah. They've been so inconsistent. You kind of look at DCE and Schuster and go think, they might be able to pull something off. But yeah, I think yeah, Nico will probably be disappointed in his game last week. He had a good start.
Yeah,
And then yeah, I don't know what he just didn't click for the rest of the game. So I think as a professional, he'll be disappointed in himself. So um, good matchup for him too. I guess being dropped from Origin, chance to go up against DCE again. So yeah, I think he'll be up for it. So yeah, Sharks should take that one. Should be a comfortable win for the Sharks. Actually, I'm thinking. In reply to last week, and that's a wrap for the next week of games. Man, it's getting exciting. Real close to finals now. So
yeah,
the comp is heating up, and the Warriors is the hottest ticket in town. Apparently, everyone wants to come out and see the Warriors. So yeah, I'm glad about it. This game's a home game. The next one is the How many more home games have we got actually?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not sure. I
the
know we got quite a lot, and
yeah.
quite an easy-ish draw as well. So yeah, if they can get on a run, which they should get on a run.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. There's a few good home games. Oh, and even a Waikato game for the Tigers. That might be a good road trip.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna do a roadie for that. And then we'll need to start looking at booking our tickets. Semi-final, home semi-final.
yeah. Home semi should be all going well.
Nice, horse. Yeah, it's a nice quick wrap. Anything else you want to add for the week, bro?
No, not really. Just thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk, a bit of rugby league and all the rest of it. I
Nice.
mentioned this before. I'm supposed to be the rugby guy, so I was good. We actually got an episode out this week for the counter ruck as
Yes.
well. My wife's overseas for the week, and my kids have been at the grandparents for a couple of days because I
Oh,
can't drive them to school. So with my knee injury, so yeah, I've been able to get a bit more content for our network done with them away.
nice,
But
horse.
shucks, yeah, when they're back, I'm gonna have to pay for a family dinner and weekend away or something because the NRL playoffs are looming.
Yeah, you
Warriors
get
are
your
hopefully
credits in, mate.
making, yeah, Warriors hopefully making a deep run as well. And just from the rugby side, which I'm a part of, with the World Cup on its way,
Oh
so it's going to
yeah.
be a busy time for myself. Just as an avid fan, but also for both of these podcasts on the network. So, and just
Yeah, it
for the
should be a
listeners,
busy
yeah,
few weeks, mate.
yeah, just for our listeners, if you're looking for an alternative view and
Mm,
something different from the mainstream, keep following the WesWes network and stuff.
nice, Wuss. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, go check out the Counter Rock, part of the WesWes Network. You can check out all our podcasts on your usual platforms, Spotify, podcasts on Apple. Um, yeah, and you can also go check out the content on weswesnet.com. You'll find all our articles, the one Simon wrote that Stacey mentioned. Cheers, guys. Catch you in the next one.
Just
I'll
sweet.